Hi, welcome to another episode of Next Gen Convos. Today we have a special episode where current and former foster youth are getting honored and some of us get to speak our truth.
The material and information presented here is provided by Lived Experience Youth and for general information purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are of the guests of our podcast own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Youth Move.
Good evening. Can you all hear that? Fantastic. All right. Well, welcome. Please join us if you want to move in closer. This is a wonderful event. It's an intimate event, and we're among friends, so please feel free to come on in a little bit closer. And welcome, everyone, to the first ever Colorado Youth Voice Celebration. My name is Stephanie Villaforte, and I serve as Colorado's Child Protection Ombudsman, and it is a privilege to be here with all of you tonight and welcome you to this special event. This inaugural event was created to honor young people with lived experience in the foster care system. These individuals have created better policies, served and advocated for resources and better services. Tonight, we're going to hear about their experiences and also recognize their leadership. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge our elected and appointed officials that are with us today. First of all, I want to introduce Judge Gail Meister, District Court Judge in the 1st Judicial District. Thank you for joining us. I also want to introduce Representative Lindsay Doherty, who will be speaking with you later this evening. Please stand up. And I also want to introduce Adams County Commissioner Charles Tedesco, who is an Ombudsman Board member. I have a number of thank yous before we begin our program today, so I beg for your patience here. Events like these are not created alone and not without lots of planning and lots of hard work. I first want to thank a very special person, Kara Nord. Where are you, Kara? Stand up. Kara is the Youth Empowerment Attorney from the Office of the Child Representative. And had it not been for her initial vision and her initiative, we would not be here joined today. So thank you, Kara. I also want to thank the Office of the Child Representative and my friend, Chris Henderson, the Executive Director. I thank you. It is a pleasure to partner with all of you tonight, as we do every day and have for many years. So thank you for being here. And now I want to thank our community partners who also made this event possible. I want to thank many of those representatives who are here this evening. First, we have members from CASA, the Boulder County Housing and Human Services. My friends, I just met them. There they are in the back row. Thank you for being here. Colorado Department of Human Services, we have several representatives here. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Colorado Department of Healthcare Policy and Finance, Cornerstone Programs, Elevating Connections, Fostering Great Ideas. Yeah, you can cheer. It's a celebration. Jefferson County Chafee Program. Pueblo County Chafee Program. The Selfless Love Foundation and Youth Moves Colorado. I also want to thank the volunteers who all came here early this evening. Thank you for generously giving your time to this event. And finally, on a personal note, I want to acknowledge members of the Child Protection Ombudsman Board who are here with us tonight, many of whom work tirelessly to support children and youth who are in foster care. If you would stand just to be recognized. And so thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. It's a terrific event. And with that, I would like to introduce our Mistress of Ceremonies, Tori Schuler.
Hey everybody, how we doing tonight? if you can hear me, clap once. If you care about foster youth boys, clap twice. Okay, thank you all so much for coming today. My name is Tori, and I am a foster youth advocate with lived expertise here in Colorado. That is one of the titles that is most important to me, and I know to the fellow advocates that are sitting in the room today, because we were in foster care, and that was a challenging part of our lives. But in being advocates, we reclaim that power. We reclaim that control. We take a situation that was forced upon us and say, look at what I'm going to do with what's happened to you. I wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone who is here. Your contributions just being here tonight, but also your contributions to championing youth voice in Colorado is absolutely fundamental, and we would not be here without the deep collaboration and dedication of our foster care system in Colorado saying, hey, we want them here, we're going to listen to them, and we value what they have to say. So I want to start off by telling a little bit of my story. I started doing this foster care advocacy stuff when I was a teenager. My Chafee worker, Jeff, is right here. Jeff was a really cool Chafee worker. Yes, Jeff. Jeff was a really cool Chafee worker, and my foster care experience is a little different from other people's in that I was able to be placed with fictive kin in my neighborhood, a family that I knew, a family that cared deeply for us and wasn't fostering because they cared about helping the system or helping the world, but were fostering because they cared about me and they cared about helping me. So right away, I started off at a different place than my foster care peers. And that was never lost on me. When I met other people in foster care and I heard about the experiences that they were having, when my sisters were separated from me and they went on to several different foster homes and group homes and treatment facilities, and at our sibling visits that our CASA would take us to, they would tell me about what was happening in their lives. And I felt ashamed that here I was being really blessed. I always say that foster care saved my life, and I don't say that lightly. I really don't think I would have made it to adulthood without the intervention of foster care. And when I got to foster care, so many blessings were bestowed on me. An incredible foster family. At the beginning, I got to stay with my sisters, and that wasn't the plan, and it was the foster parents saying, we're going to take her too, that made it so that I didn't get separated from them on day one. We were eventually separated. I had incredible people like Jeff in my corner who said, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your goals. We're going to work on those together. When I went to college, when I was a senior in high school, Jeff called me and he knew my college goals and helped me with my applications and everything. And he called me and he said, I need to give you something. Can you come to my office? And I said, yes, of course. And I went to Aurora to see Jeff. And Jeff gave me my laptop, my backpack, everything that I needed to get started with school. And when I showed people this amazing gift that was given to me, and I'm so excited, like all these other people are part of my team and they care about my goals and my future and they're here for me to access those goals and futures, people were like, wow, that's incredible. Because I think that we expect that people in our society get support. We expect that people in our societies have families or parents or friends or neighbors that are going to rally for them. But when we see it happen for a person and when we see the incredible impact that that support has, it just really shows that it matters when you show up for people. It matters when you speak up for people. And so Jeff actually opened the advocacy door for me. I always say when I do my advocacy training that we are born advocates. The first thing we do as babies is we scream. And we scream because we're uncomfortable and we're speaking up for ourselves and our uncomfort. So I was born an advocate. But through my life and through the abuse that I suffered, my voice was silenced. My ability to speak up for myself and others was put in jeopardy by the situation that I was in my foster care, being in foster care, but really before foster care and the situation of my family of origin and the challenges and struggles that we have there. But having people like Jeff open doors and say, you should come to this meeting. You should speak up. You should go to college. You should apply for that job. You can do all of these things. And one of the most important doors that Jeff opened for me was Bridging the Gap. And Bridging the Gap was the very first place that I started advocating for kids in foster care. And I was able to speak up and say, this was what my experience was like, and I think everyone's experience should be more like that. I was able to speak up and say, my sisters are going through this right now, and no one's hearing them. But because we were given this platform, we were given this opportunity to speak up, people were hearing me. Over the years of advocating, so much incredible, impactful work has been done. And I said, Jeff opened the door. Ricardo, you started the garden. So Ricardo was and has always been the champion for youth in the state of Colorado. And Ricardo invited me to join his youth advisory board when it started. And, it didn't at the time feel like we're changing the world. But standing up here on this stage right now and looking back at everything we've done and every advocate that has fought in this battle with us, we have changed the world. And we've at least changed Colorado. Really changed. And incredible things have happened. As you all know, we have gone from a system where we had to bang, 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 bang on that door and beg for one of us to be able to walk into a meeting and sit down and just listen, not speak, just listen, to now whole events, are hosted in our honor. Stakeholder meetings are just for us, just for the people with lived experience. Organizations at the state level have youth voice initiatives that are core and strategic to their mission. We didn't have that, and we have that now. So I want to say to anyone out there who's a former foster youth, you are an advocate. If you have advocated and you have spoken and you've shared your truth and you spoke up, I'm so proud of you. And if you haven't, I am proud of you for surviving. And I know that you will get there to the point of advocacy. And I want to leave you with an important quote for me from Alex L. You are not a victim for sharing your story. You are a survivor, setting the world on fire with your truth. And you never know who's going to need your light, your warmth, and your raging courage. So speak your truth and tell your story. And I am so excited to be the master of ceremonies tonight and to keep this party going, but also really excited to hear some of the incredible and inspiring advocates who are here tonight to share their stories. So without further ado, we're going to get started on that. I would like to bring up to the stage Lizzie Giberson. Here for Lizzie. Lizzie is going to be starting us off with an incredible retelling of her story, and she's also going to be sharing some of her incredible poetry with us.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Lizzie Giberson, and I am a foster care advocate and foster care lived expert. I was in foster care for 3,768 days. 3,768 days. Try to imagine that. It is an honor and privilege to be here tonight and share my foster care story with you. My story starts with an injury my mother caused when I was 4 weeks old. I was thrown at the wall. I had shaken baby syndrome and a double skull fracture and 3 broken ribs. My twin and I were removed from care, but my older siblings were left behind. We were placed into a home where we were later adopted by that couple. My adoptive mom and adopted dad split up when I was 3, and my adoptive mom only stayed in contact when it suited her. My dad remarried, and my stepmom became my mom, but I still had a really rough life and didn't have the support I needed. Fast forward to 2009, everything changed. A pastor became my kinship provider after problems at home, and he abused me. I had to get out of that situation. They decided to send me to Colorado after I begged my adoptive mom to take me. I just wanted to be loved. I wanted a family. But when I got to Colorado, I wanted to die. Because the abuse I suffered in Colorado was even worse than in Michigan. Silly me, thinking it would be a fairy tale. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and my adoptive mom never came to see me. I was discharged, but 2 hours later, I was back. Later, I went to a treatment center for children in Denver. I was scared. I hurt myself, and I was restrained by 6 grown men, a triggering event for a small girl. After 13 months, they sent me home, and the abuse continued at home. After another hospitalization in a different treatment facility, I was punished and sent to the infamous treatment facility that has since been shut down. I was 13. This was a horrible place and felt like a cage for adolescent girls. Terrible things happened to everyone who was there. After escaping the hell I went through, I went to a foster home, which felt like too much freedom compared to where I had been. I felt overwhelmed, vulnerable, and didn't know what it meant to be a part of a family or a home. I only knew institutionalization. My foster dad made it clear that if I left their home, he would fabricate lies to my team that would prevent me from being in the community. This control led me to find the control where I could in hurting myself. Eventually, I was kicked out, and my foster dad kept his promise. Seeing a future was impossible at 15. I was convinced I would never have a true home. I bounced around treatment facilities until I accidentally hurt someone restraining me. They sent me to a higher level of care, and then eventually I was committed because no facility was willing to accommodate my mental health needs. The reality was I was a danger to myself. I was assessed for 4 weeks and should have been placed in a community, but my team instead sent me to a high-security facility. It was worse than jail. I was able to focus on my studies, and I graduated high school early. Rebuilding our relationship, my adopted dad and stepmom supported me for graduation, driving 27 hours to be there. My adopted mom couldn't be bothered to drive 15 minutes. After I graduated from treatment, I knew I wanted to work with children and youth. I was drawn to teaching because school was my only place I ever felt safe, and teachers are the only ones who ever made me feel seen. But later, I changed my degree to psychology. A new chapter started in my story at Shiloh House at Beyond the Walls, where I had my first real relationship and I got my first apartment. Perhaps the most significant connection I've made was with my mentor, Ken. He is here today in spirit. Ken became my permanent connection, a father figure. My coaches at Beyond the Walls opened my eyes to advocacy, and I learned that my story is powerful, but I wouldn't know until later on how much I needed to advocate for myself and my peers in foster care. When I was 20, my son was born. He was my whole world and gave me motivation to continue every day. I was terrified my son would be taken from me and the cycle would repeat. The joy of excitement of motherhood was tainted by the bias I felt the system had and my team held against me for my teenage years. I did everything to be a good mom, and my supporters told me not to worry, he wouldn't be removed. But the system turned their back on me. When my son was born, there was drastic complications. He was born not breathing and needed to be in the NICU for 10 days. They used his birth complication and my lack of family and previous existence as a foster child against me. They took him away and placed him in foster care. My supporters rallied around me and helped me advocate to have my son returned, which he was returned after the next court date. The judge apologized for the atrocity and the trauma caused to my family. I will never get those days back with my son. Never. That was my son to head first into advocacy, and I became the first president of the Metro Youth Alliance. Speaking up for my peers gave me purpose and made me feel empowered because for the first time, I felt heard. Being an advocate, a student, and a single parent is a lot to juggle, but I did it every day. I was given the opportunity last year to get back to the organization that helped me so much. I became an AmeriCorps Vista deployed at Shiloh House. It is a dream job, and advocating for my peers in foster care and is deeply meaningful to me. I want to be someone that I needed when I was in foster care. I want to make youth feel heard. I want to take a moment to show appreciation and love to the foster care advocates I care deeply and emulated. They have since passed, Will and Alex. They were incredible friends and role models, and I wouldn't be on this stage if not for them. The last conversation I had with Will carries me through the hardest days of advocacy. It has been really hard to continue advocating in the depths of their loss, especially when I have also lost my mentor, Ken, and a cherished daughter. My dedication to advocacy is unfaltering. I know I'm just beginning this journey. I want to speak for youth in foster care, but I also want to be a voice for parents whose children are taken from them without just cause. So far, as an advocate, I've spoken at conferences, the Celebration of Educational Excellence. I contributed to the Youth Homeless Demonstration Project, facilitating the summit in Salida, and I've attended national youth conferences and interviewed with national leaders. I am working on establishing a nonprofit with my peers, and I have contributed to legislation that has improved foster care in Colorado. I've shared my poetry with my foster care peers. I'll be sharing one momentarily. I am also part of a nationally renowned podcast. Stick around and see what I'll do next. So my poem is called The Longing Heart. In my shadows cast by a world unknown, me, a child, yearns for a place to call home. In foster care's embrace, a searching soul, craving family where love can console. Amidst uncertainty, a heart holds tight, dreams of belonging in the silence of the night. In stranger's care, a resilience quest, for the warmth of kinship, a child's request. Through transient bonds and fleeting ties, my longing heart silently cries, craving roots to anchor life's fleeting stream. In my foster care journey, chasing a dream, yearning for laughter, a familiar song, a haven where acceptance and where I can belong. In the echoes of footsteps, a plea unfolds for a family's love, for someone to hold. Yet in the struggle, resilience bloom as hope persists through fostered rooms. A child's heart with courage and being strong, craving a family where I can finally belong.
That was incredible, especially your poem, Lizzie. I think the part about the longing heart crying out in pain is so strong. Okay, up next, we have another incredible advocate, Shelby. Come up to the stage. Let's hear it for Shelby, everybody.
Yes. Thank you, Tori. This one work hard. Phenomenal. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good time. I am Shelby. I'm a member of OCR's LEAP team, and I'm also an active member of Elevating Connections. And those of you that don't know who Elevating Connections is they are a program built around using or helping youth use their voice to create change. So I did the same thing as Lizzie, and I did like a half poem, half a speech kind of thing. So the things that youth transitioning out of foster care need to fall back on is a plan, a support system to catch them if their original plan doesn't work out, the ability to go back into care instead of going homeless until the age of 25 or later. I know you've all heard it all before working in the child welfare system. I didn't know what to do when I got an eviction notice on my door. I couldn't call my mom or dad. So I spent my time as a lived expert action panelist working with the attorneys and staff at OCR to improve the procedures and policies in place for the youth that are emancipating from that system. There's too many youth in our systems that we feel we need to focus on having more fallback homes for youth that fall apart in those hard times, that are geared specifically towards the youth that are aging out of care. I think it should be acknowledged that youth in care has undergone a major trauma, and being separated from your home and your family is not normal. I think it's important to recognize that care providers respect youth's beliefs, values, rituals, routines, and learning about new cultures, welcoming new lifestyles into their practice. So my poem is called Coming into a Group Home. Coming into a group home for the first time, I didn't know what to expect. And upon arrival, there was no one to direct, while everyone looked me up and down like I was some sort of suspect. While their day went along as their norm, I was filling out paperwork form after form. Trying to hide my fear with no privacy to mourn, I struggled to adapt. Feeling every day when the early mornings came, I couldn't leave soon enough. Even though it made no difference, it was still just another face to them. Nothing was personalized, nothing was ever recognized. Nothing was ever exciting outside of somebody getting mad. No emotion was allowed. You weren't allowed to be sad, or your group home mom would call you out. You'd feel embarrassed, angry, filled with doubt, but that to them was normal. And we knew it. We saw it every day. We shoved the pain away and dealt with the fact that we had no say. And we played by the rules that they made us play. And it was the fear that I had to deal with. Some of the fears that my sisters had to deal with, even in your worst dreams, they would never have you believing that they could be true. But some to its memory, and that's why it's important that we listen to the pain and we take the traumas and we fight for change. Forget about pointing the finger of blame, just as long as we don't let things stay the same. The futures of the youths now grown, who fell and never made it to where they could have been, are our guidebooks on how to not let the system continue fail its youth so greatly. So we must listen to their words and put them into action, give them back the value that the system stole, and show Colorado has compassion. We can break the mold of trending homelessness stemming from foster youth if we change our system to one directed by lived expertise and truth.
That was incredible, Shelby. Yes, let's hear it for Shelby, guys. Shelby. All right, I love the energy. I love everybody. We're keeping that the whole time, right? Yes. There's an expectation. Okay. Make sure I'm not messing anything up. Okay, up next we have another incredible advocate, Maya Chandler. Come on up. Let's hear it for Maya. She comes her way to the stage.
Can you? Okay. Am I yelling? Sick. Okay, cool. Wait, should I speak up? Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Foster Youth Voice Celebration. I'm Maya, and today I'm here to share my experience as someone who has navigated through the foster care system. Also beyond that, I want to emphasize the critical role of youth voices in policymaking and how together we can enhance the lives of those in foster care. I'm honored to be a lived experience advocacy fellow with the National Center for Youth Law and a founding member and liaison of the Lived Experts Action Panel with the Office of the Child's Representative. My involvement extends to the Colorado Youth Justice Collaborative, the National Youth in Transition Database Federal Review Group, and the Reasonable and Prudent Parenting Standards Group with the Colorado Department of Human Services. I also contribute to the Trail Building Youth Advisory Board with the Colorado Protective Services, and I have testified for HB 22-1373, advocating against restitution payments to third-party insurance companies for youth. These initiatives have personally helped youth I know, and they have also been instrumental in allowing children to move forward without the burden of debt and be able to access equitable human services. I dedicate my time to these groups because I understand the transformative power of exercising youth voice. Foster youth often feel silenced by their biological families, foster families, and the system itself, and our opinions and ideas have been marginalized, but we must recognize the importance of our perspectives in shaping policies that directly impact our lives. Currently, I'm working on a capstone project aimed at improving child protective services, practices, and procedures, specifically focusing on rehoming procedures and policies. The goal is to ensure that children are consistently followed up with by reliable, authoritative figures. And through the Lived Experts Action Panel, we've developed valuable resources and policies for positive change in the foster system. These include resources on the Indian Child Welfare Act, These include resources and informational videos on the Indian Child Welfare Act and resources for youth in the Department of Youth Services, and we are currently working on the Foster Youth Bill of Rights. These initiatives have personally helped youth. Never mind. So I engage in these opportunities because I aspire to be a lawyer advocating for youth rights and ensuring safe spaces for all youth. In or out of the system. My time spent in the system has shown me that while we have a lot of people on each individual case, there's little to no support for the child, and I want to be able to change that. Often foster kids feel as if they're alone while they're going through the system, and when I am a lawyer, I want to be one that is both supportive of children's needs and wants, but also one that is an advocate for other youth who have not had the opportunity or to have their voice be heard in their case or in general. Our youth in care have already been silenced, and it's time to provide them with the voice they've always needed. The perspective gained from children with lived experience in the foster system offer diverse insights and deep knowledge of the system's flaws, which are often invisible to caseworkers or government agencies. Without youth voices, the system's cracks will worsen. We listen to older individuals with experience, so we must equally listen to youth with experience as well. As lived experts, we see problems head on, offering a unique perspective compared to adults who observe and aren't exposed to the environments we have endured. Without youth voice, change becomes harder to create, and the system continues to burden children in care that have already been burdened with the loss of their family. Allow me to highlight some critical areas that require attention in policymaking decisions. First, there is a need for consistency with social workers and better schedules to reduce turnover, which would provide much needed stability for kids in care. Many social workers these days are former foster youth who understand the system intimately. However, we need more support for both social workers and, more importantly, youth in care. Improvements in CPS and rehoming policies, along with the increased advocacy for the child's best interest, both legally and personally, are essential. With LEAP, we are actively working on the Foster Youth Bill of Rights, as I mentioned, and it is a crucial initiative using the voices of former foster youth to ensure children in care have their rights advocated for. Mental health resources also must be prioritized and continued after children age out of care, and financial assistance is crucial, as many youth struggle and some end up homeless. Housing stability and vouchers, resources like EBT, and educational support need heavier advocacy, which make each resource more accessible for youth. More importantly, foster youth need to feel normal. Providing access to friends, family extracurriculars, etc. is crucial when ensuring these children who have already felt unwanted can experience the joys of a normal childhood again. In conclusion, fostering youth voices and policymaking is not just a moral endeavor, it is a necessity for positive, long-lasting change. And together we can amplify the voices of foster youth, ensuring that no one's left behind in our pursuit of a more just, compassionate society.
That was Maya, everybody. Let's hear it for Maya. Maya, Maya, Maya. Woo! Yes! So many powerful and inspiring stories. Thank you guys for sharing. And thank you guys for the incredible energy that we're bringing, and also the recognition that you're giving through your applauses and your standing ovations are really significant. Okay, up next I have another incredible member of LEAP, as well as 100 other things I'm sure they'll tell you about, Lindsay Saunders Velez.
So I actually wanted to take this time to plant a seed into my peers and also the other advocates that advocate for youth every day. Instead of talking about my story, I wanted to take more time in planting seeds of what we can continue to do with our youth. I was born and raised in the system. I am who I am because of this community. I know the struggles many of you have faced, how you walked a long way home to avoid gangs, how you fought to concentrate on your homework when there was too much noise in the house or there was too much going on. How you kept it together when your families were having hard times making ends meet. Because of this community, I am the Senior Executive Director of the Colorado Justice Advocacy Network. I am a commissioner of the State Jail Standards Commission that the legislator created. But more importantly, I know the strength of this community. While we may come in all different shapes and sizes, most families here, chosen families, are bounded together by the kind of love that gets stronger when it's tested. I know the folks in this community work hard, the kind of hard that we forget about ourselves and focus on other people, that we worry about our kids doing whatever it takes. We juggle 2-3 jobs, take long bus rides to the night shift just to make sure that we are successful. We scrap pennies together to sign our kids up for any activity that we can. Whatever it takes to make sure that our kids, our family, and ourselves are safe and on the right track. Over the past 6 years as an executive director, I've visited countless placements. Many young people face plenty of challenges and crises. But like you and me, they have the strong work ethic, good values, and big dreams. But unfortunately, all those positive things hardly ever make the evening news. Instead, these places where we grew up only make the headlines when tragic things happen. When people get shot, they drop out rate climbs, someone gets hooked on a new drug, that's what makes the evening news. So tonight, I want people across the country, people in this room, to know the real story, the true story, the story that majority of us and our families, like mine and yours, are good people. But we face real challenges as well. But we make good choices every single day. I'm here tonight because I want you all to know, and especially my peers, that with the roots in this community and your voice, you will have everything that you need to be successful. I'm here tonight because I want to share with you 2 fundamental lessons that I have learned in my own life. The lessons are grounded in courage, love, and faith that defines this community and that I continue to live by to this day. The first lesson is very simple, and that's to never, ever be afraid to ask for help. And I cannot stress this enough. I can't stress this enough to even my clients that I worked with every day. At school, we were always surrounded by folks who were determined to help us, teachers who stayed after class to explain an assignment to us, counselors who pushed us to apply for college, coaches who saw something special in us that no one ever seen in us. And as we head to whatever comes next for us, you will face plenty of obstacles. There will be times when you find yourself struggling, and at first you may not know where to turn to for help. Or you may be too embarrassed to ask for help. I'm stubborn, I hate asking for help. Trust me, because I know how it feels. When I started my freshman year at MSU Denver, I felt so overwhelmed, out of place. I never spent any meaningful time on a college campus. I never spent any meaningful time away from the Division of Youth Corrections by that. I had no idea how to choose my classes, how to take notes in a large lecture. I had no idea. When I look around at my classmates, they all seem so happy, comfortable and confident to be there. They never seemed to question whether they belonged at a school like MSU Denver. So at first, I didn't tell a soul how anxious, lonely, and insecure I was feeling. But as I got to know my classmates, I realized something, that they were all struggling with the same thing. But instead of them hiding their struggles and insecurities, they asked for help. If they did not understand something in class, they raised their hand and asked a question. When they didn't, or they went to the professor's after hours thing, wasn't my thing. But they never weren't too embarrassed, not one bit, to ask for help, because they knew that's how you were going to be successful. See, growing up, they had the expectation that they would succeed and they would have the resources they need to achieve their goals. So whether it was taking an SAT prep class, getting a math tutor, seeking advice from a teacher or counselor, they took advantage of every opportunity that they had. So I decided to follow their lead. Hate being a lead follower, I do, with a passion. I found an advisor who chose to help me choose my classes because my path was criminal justice and I was taking something for math. And I was like, that's not where I want to be. So I went to a multicultural student center. I met older students who became my mentors. Soon enough, I felt like I had this college thing figured out. And my peers, wherever you head, I guarantee there will be all kinds of folks who are eager to help you. But they're not going to come knocking at your front door. You have to take responsibility and find them. So if you are struggling with an assignment, go to a tutoring session. If you are having trouble with a paper to speak in front of the senators, ask somebody, because I hate doing that myself. Don't ask me, though. Go to a writing center, best place. If someone isn't helpful or they're impatient or unfriendly, or you find someone else. It may take you a second, third, or fourth time, but if you keep asking for help, I guarantee that you will be successful. And if you see asking for help as a sign of strength and a sign of weakness, you will always be successful. And that brings me to another big lesson that I want to share with you today. It's a lesson about how to get through those struggles. And that instead of letting your hardships and failures discourage you and exhaust you, let them inspire you. Let them make you even hungry to be successful. Now, I know that many of us have dealt with some serious losses in our lives. Maybe someone in our family, our friend, lost a job, struggling with drugs or alcohol, or even an illness. Maybe someone you love desperately, you wish was with you right here tonight. So yes, you may have been tested a lot earlier and a lot sooner than many people like you and like me. Maybe you have more scars than they do. Maybe you have days when you feel more tired than someone your age should really feel. But tonight, I want you to understand that every scar that you have is a reminder not that you got hurt, but that you survived. And as painful as those holes are that we all have in our heart, that's what truly connects us to each other. They are spaces we can make for other people's sorrow and pain, as well as their joy and their love, so that eventually, instead of us feeling so empty inside, we feel even bigger and fuller. So it is okay to feel that sadness, that grief that comes with those loss. But instead of letting those feelings defeat you, let them motivate you. Let them serve as fuel for your journey. See, that's what folks in our community have always done. That's what we're made of. Just look at the history of the foster care system. We just don't give up. We are stubborn human beings. Come on. So I had an aunt who didn't live to see me become a Juris Doctorate candidate recently. She passed away from a complication in her illness 3 months ago. Let me tell you, she is the hole in my heart. Her loss is my scar. But let me tell you something. Her memory drives me forward every day of my life. Every day I work to make her proud. Every day I stay hungry, not just for myself, but for her and for all the young people I protect. My peers today, I want to urge you to all to do something. And there are so many people that believe in you, who made sacrifices for you, who poured all their love and hope and ambition into you. You need to stay hungry for them, because in the end, you are the one who's responsible for changing the narrative about our community. And with every word you speak and every choice that you make, you are carrying, in the way you carry yourself, you are rewriting the story of our community. And that is the burden that I carry, you carry, and many people in this room carry every day, because we know that everything that we do, say, either confirms the myths about people like us or they change those myths. So starting today, it is your job to make sure that no one ever questions or is surprised about where you came from. And I'm so proud of all of us, and I stay inspired because of you. And I cannot wait and see of all the good things that we continue to do out here.
Okay, thank you all so much. Amazing. Thank you, Lindsay. Up next, we've got Alexandra Jones. Let's hear for Alexandra. She makes her way to the stage.
Hi, my name is Lexi. I'm a part of the Office of Child Representatives Lift Experts Action Panel. I'm currently 23 years old. I was 17 when I was put into the system. I was homeless. I was going back and forth between sleeping in my car and staying in a homeless shelter. I was also 7 months pregnant at the time. With my first child, I was placed in about 6 different foster homes with my baby before I was eventually discharged from the system when I turned 19. I don't think people quite realize how many youth are getting pregnant or how many are giving birth in the system. I believe that the system is kind of built to separate mothers from their babies rather than keep us together. When I turned 18, they had me placed in a treatment facility because they told me there weren't any foster homes available that would take me and my baby together. They had recommended several times that I chose to put my daughter in a separate home from me simply because they didn't have any room. I had to fight really, really hard to keep her. So we had to sit in a treatment facility together for over 3 months, receiving treatment that I didn't even need. So that I could keep us together. Eventually, we were kicked out of the treatment facility because they said they needed the bed for somebody who needed the quote-unquote treatment. I think that there needs to be more rules and regulations on how and where mothers are placed with their babies. I think that there needs to be more resources available for these young parents, including parenting classes, support groups, life skill classes, child development classes, nutritional education, and so forth. I remember feeling super out of control when I had my first baby, just due to the fact that I wasn't able to choose my own schooling. I wasn't allowed to choose where she went, like for childcare. I had like no say at all. I just feel like even though this was my daughter and this was my life and I had full custody of her, I didn't get much of a say about what happened with either of us. And I think that not only did I have to go through the trauma of being in a treatment facility, being placed and moved around, my daughter also did too. And I think that caused a lot of discouragement for me. I also think that it's super important that youth are given a little more freedom when it comes to the choices about our life. I think that we should have a say where we go to school. I think we should have a say where we get to place our children for childcare. And I think that we should get, options when it comes to employment, because I was forced to be a single mom in these homes until I was like almost 19 and discharged. I think that it's crucial to educate these youth and young parents and provide them with the necessary tools so that we can break the cycle with the future generations. I think a lot of us youth who ended up in the system were raised on survival, so we see things differently than people who were raised on love. I think most of us have witnessed or experienced firsthand, addiction, domestic violence, abuse, and neglect. I think that offering more addiction classes, domestic violence classes, and therapy is pretty crucial so that, parents in the system are able to heal so that we don't pass the same traumas that we went through onto our children. I believe that the only way for proper changes to come is by listening to those who have lived experience. I think that being in the foster system, it comes with its own unique trauma. And unless you've lived it firsthand, I don't think you would have a clear picture of the things that we went through mentally, emotionally, and physically. I choose to advocate for these youth because when I was in the system, I had wished that there was somebody who was able to properly advocate for me and my daughter. There's already been like a bunch of changes I've seen as far as like bills that have been passed and stuff. So I hope that like we can continue to like make change and improve the lives of these youth by working together and just taking action and listening to each other.
Let's hear it for Lexi. Thank you, Lexi. That was incredibly powerful, and your recommendations were really strong. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Up next, we have an incredible advocate making their way to the stage, Maddie Noisling. Let's hear it for Maddie.
Everyone, my name is Maddie. I am a lived expert through the Office of the Child Representative. And I just want to share a little bit of my story and the powerful connection that lived experts can have with professionals to make huge changes in the system. Boldness. That's what got me through foster care. I'm not afraid to stand up to people throwing degrees and professional experience in my face. In my time I spent in foster care, I did not meet any other foster youth who felt the same way. In my adult life, reflecting on this made me realize that I have a powerful strength that can bring change if used correctly. Getting the call from Kara telling me my application to join LEAP had been accepted was a turning point in my life. From the very beginning, I was given opportunities to share my story, which has given me so much confidence. My first real experience where I saw a subsequent change follow was my testimony about the foster ed program in front of the Colorado State Legislature's Child Welfare Interim Committee. From my knowledge, several meetings with Colorado's Department of Higher Education followed, and I was able to actually contact Representative Zenzinger directly when my school continued to fight with me about my outstanding balance. I am only one loud voice in a country that houses hundreds of thousands of foster youth. Imagine the changes that could be made if even a small percentage of youth with lived expertise felt empowered to stand up for what they need. LEAP is a shining example of a state's ability to empower their lived experts. All of us have made huge changes in our own unique ways. However, for every one of us, there are over 300 foster youth in the state of Colorado, and we can't make these necessary changes on our own. This is why we need professionals, and professionals need us. Policy changes cannot be made by us alone, and changes that will have lasting positive effects cannot be made solely by professionals who will never feel the full effect of those changes. As has been briefly discussed, LEAP is drafting a foster youth bill of rights using the lived experience of its members, which will then be moved into Colorado's legislation to be voted into law. This is only one example of the amazing work coming from the partnership of lived experts and professionals, and a reason why lived experts should have a seat in every room where decisions are being made for youth who already have no control of their lives. Colorado's Department of Human Services has enlisted the help of lived experts to update the outdated, reasonable, and prudent parenting standards still in effect from 2018. A few of us are working to update the National Youth in Transition database to make it easier for youth to access it at the designated ages and give higher quality information to the federal government. A few of us are also working on a project for the Indian Child Welfare Act. We are using our voices to make change, and you are using your power as a professional to pursue changes through hoop after hoop. We need you, and you need us. Together, we can make the child welfare system more productive and less traumatic for those involved in it. We still have so much work to do, though, so let's get out there and make the world a better place.
You guys, Maddie testified at the bill that she was talking about, or I'm sorry, the committee she was talking about, and the deputy director of child welfare texted me and said, we have to have a meeting to hear her story and to hear other people's stories. So anytime you speak up, you never know who's listening, you never know who you're gonna meet, you never know who's gonna change your life, and you never know whose life you're gonna change by speaking up. So we have another speaker. Make your way to the stage, Naomi Davis. Let's hear it for Naomi.
My name is Naomi Davis, and as someone who has personally navigated the challenges of the foster care system, I stand before you not only as a representative of countless youth in the system who have not had a seat at the table, but as a living testament to the resilience that can be found within the hearts of former foster youth. It is undeniable that the foster care system plays a crucial role in the lives of children across the United States. There are many broken parts of this system, but this system saved my life. It is an intricate web of institutions, policies, and practices designed with the noble intention of providing a safe and nurturing environment for those who have experienced the harsh realities too early. But for far too long, the voices of those who have actually lived through the system have been drowned out, or worse, ignored by the very people in charge of creating policies that shape their futures. I grew up in and out of the Colorado foster care system, specifically Boulder County, and I first entered the system when I was 6, and then I re-entered when I was 16. Through then, I was in 2 homes, and then I was out on my own in independent living, and from there I aged out of the system when I turned 18. Since then, I have gone to college and am about to graduate, and will be attending law school next year. And throughout the part of my life that was the system, I was surviving. And in order to survive, I had to learn the power of my voice at a very young age. And through all of those challenges, I also discovered the strength within myself and resilience forged through adversity. And it is this strength that propels me to stand here today and advocate for the inclusion of former foster youth voices in the policymaking process at every step. The reality is that the policies that all of you have a say in are not impacting your lives. They're impacting the thousands of kids in Colorado foster care system, and because of that, they deserve a seat at the table. Who better to understand the intricacies, pitfalls, and the triumphs of the foster care system than those who have lived it? Our experiences, both positive and negative, offer invaluable insights that can reshape and redefine policies to better serve the children currently within the system and those who will come after us. We have an intimate understanding of what it truly means to be part of this system, and our perspectives can illuminate the blind spots that may exist in current policies. Inclusion is not just a matter of token representation. It is a recognition of the expertise that comes from the lived experience that we have experienced. We include former foster youth in the conversation. We enrich the dialogue with authenticity, empathy, and a depth of understanding that cannot be replicated through textbooks or theoretical discussions alone. The inclusion of our voice is an investment in the empowerment of a marginalized group. By actively involving us in the decision-making process, we are not only contributing to the development of better policies, but are treated with a sense of respect and given a sense of agency that we were not given throughout our childhoods and in the system. As we discuss and deliberate on the future of foster care policy, let us remember that the decisions made in the rooms you have all been in have a profound and lasting effect on the lives of those who've already faced their fair share of challenges. Let us ensure that the policies we create are not only well-intentioned, but well-informed by the very individuals who have experienced the foster care system firsthand. In conclusion, the inclusion of former foster youth voices is not just a matter of policy, it is a matter of justice, empathy, and commitment to ensuring that every child in the foster care system is given not only the opportunity to survive, but to thrive. Together, let's build a system that reflects the wisdom gained through our shared experiences, and in doing so, create a brighter and more compassionate future for the generations to come. Let's hear for Naomi. Naomi. Okay, sorry.
All right. Our last our last lived expert who's speaking tonight, Aliciana Medina. Please make your way to the stage.
Good to see familiar faces. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for the nominee for this as well. In a little synopsis, it really is kind of awesome to see the effort that we've been going through these years. I think for myself, being in foster care and emancipating at the age of 18 in 2012, that it was very hard to understand that such supports and groups and people weren't here to help with this kind of navigation, that these kind of supports and these bills didn't play a key role, and that all the while we were trying to advocate and get bills and pass laws and get this into practice, that these things are finally coming true after many, many years. That just shows you how old I am, first of all. And second, just how amazing that all these organizations, programs, departments, nonprofits make all this work happen. And along with the key players, which are us, who are to live expertise. One of my case specifically was a DNN case. So I was in and out of foster care, in and out of what's it called? The FCC, the Family Crisis Center. So yeah, I know, that's like an old one, right? And so it's been a long journey, and a lot of the bills that we had achieved so far that are really dear to me are the Foster Youth Sibling Bill of Rights, which was in 2019. Another one that was introduced in 2021 was Indian tribes to certify and own foster care homes, just because that one to me was for the tribes. I was supposed to get IGWA on my case. That didn't happen initially, so that wasn't practiced. And I feel like that was an injustice to my tribe, to my identity, to my culture. So I think that's very important to shed light on that matter as well. The next one was the House bill on 2022 for higher education support for foster care youth, because we didn't have that either. How to navigate towards applying to college, what kind of scholarships, anything to help, computers, backpacks. You've heard the examples. We didn't have that stuff. We had to figure it out on our own, maybe work 3 jobs, and then that's what happened during our education. Yeah, we had ETV, and we had a couple of other organizations like Mile High United Way, but, it wasn't enough support, and there were certain limitations to that. There was only so much, or what we could do with it, what we couldn't do with that. And so just to broaden the perspective of that and have initially more resources and accessibility, that's what we fight for. You hear all the stories, you hear all the testimonies, you hear it, and we keep ranting on because this is very important. So, and then the next House bill was also the parent and child family time, which I think is very critical for someone who has a sibling that's a brother, and I didn't grow up with him. We were out of care since we were 8, 9 years old, and I didn't grow up with him. I was lucky and kind of fortunate that I snuck a cell phone in my foster care house, and we were able to keep in touch that way. But yeah, I couldn't get the court to tell me, hey, How's the update on your brother? Where is he? What's going on in his life? And then eventually it was just that we had to like low key keep a connection. And that shouldn't be the way it should be as it is, progressing with these bills. The other one that I think is the right to counsel for youth, which is the House Bill 2020-1038, which is in itself with the DNN proceedings, trying to go to court in the morning, being a student, being an AP, CP honor student, trying to get through the school year because your social worker is already telling you you're going to fail, you're not even going to get a transportation to go down to the courthouse. They're like, okay, you can go, but you got to take the bus to go there. And like, okay, well, I guess I'll be there at 7 a.m. at the courthouse, advocating for myself, seeing what's going on in my case, and let's see what we could do about it. So that goes a long way. The other House bill that we were working on is the HUD 207, which is the Youth Hopelessness Demonstration Program. And I think that with this bill, it was also sort of like we got an allotment of money to go towards the housing crisis. This has always been an ongoing issue for us as trying to get affordable housing or any kind of housing. And so I think that speaks volumes that we were able and granted that allotment of money in September 20th of 2023. So these are still ongoing efforts. Foster Youth Bill is an ongoing effort that we're creating and we're changing. But it's a privilege to shine a light on these excellent matters whenever it's possible. We have so much to be thankful for, and together we have so much to look forward to through the blessings and challenges of many years as we go into this new year, continuing our commitment and dedication through child welfare, juvenile justice, and tribal justice systems. We continue to be an inspiration to others, will rely on us, but also inspired by incredible work that is happening in our state. And for a message to those going through this experience, it's your time to shine. Today's challenges are preparing for you for bigger opportunities. Today you are the architect of this movement. You're unstoppable, unyielding. Today is yours. Make it legendary. There's still time for you to be who you want to be, so don't give up. You have our support and the support of many partners. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you all so much. Thank you to all of our incredible lived experts who came on the stage today and spoke their truth. We're about to continue on and meet some more people, which will be incredible. But I wanted to say a deep token of my gratitude to my brothers and sisters who have left foster care and chose to become advocates. Because we had a choice, we had a fork in the road. We could have left foster care and never talked about it again, not told anybody that we were in foster care, not ever advocated for anything. And that's an option that I think a lot of people take. But we chose instead to do a little bit of a harder path. And we don't share our foster care stories because we're going to be able to go back and change things in our past and make our lives better. We don't share our foster care stories because people think that we're cool, although they do think that we're cool because we're advocates. And we don't share our foster care stories for nothing. We share our foster care stories because our brothers and sisters are in foster care today. Because our brothers and sisters don't have a way to speak up. And because for so many years and in so many other places in this country, foster kids aren't allowed to speak up and nobody wants to hear what they have to say. And in Colorado, they do want to hear what we have to say. So thank you all for becoming advocates and for speaking up for our people, for our brothers and sisters in foster care, and for giving a true depth of love through this act of service in advocating. So up next, we have a very special guest, our champion at the Capitol this year. Yes, I would like to welcome to the stage Representative Doherty.
Thank you. First of all, let's hear it for the incredible humans that we just heard from. I'm Lindsay Doherty. I'm the representative for House District 24, and I have the honor of bringing bills like this almost every year since I've been at the state capitol. So this will be my 4th year. And these are the proudest bills that I am of all of the work that I've done. And I want to encourage all of the advocates that we heard from to please keep telling your stories. It's so hard to get up here in front of a group of people. Public speaking is not my thing either, but I need to hear these stories. Other people need to hear these stories because you see what's happening. You're able to move the needle. And at the Capitol, we are listening. People like me want to be there to give you a voice and advocate for you and do whatever we possibly can. I went to law school quite a while ago now because I knew I wanted to help people. I didn't know what that really meant. I didn't know what area of law I wanted to go into. I'll tell you, for the people attending law school soon, I think it's more important to know what area of law you don't want to go into. I knew I always wanted to do people law. I love people. I love helping people. And I made that into a career as a guardian ad litem for the past 10 years, representing my youth clients in court. And I brought that passion to the Capitol as one of the only legislators that has any experience in family law. And I'll tell you, I will fight against any bills that try to silence our youth voices, and I have. I'm a pretty good fighter, especially with some of the folks in the room here. And I will fight for your voices always. And that's why I'm so proud to let you all know that we're running the Foster Youth Bill of Rights this year. It will start in the House with me, and we will be so successful. And I hope that I see many of you in committee telling your stories. I would like to, volunteer myself as someone who you can come to the Capitol, ask me my real thoughts about law school or the bar or the LSAT or whatever. But I want to be a resource for you. This is why I do this. You all are the reason why people like me do our jobs. These jobs are really hard at the end of the day. We're at the Capitol sometimes all night listening to the most offensive things you can think of. But I will be there all night because this is so important. And you have no idea how sitting here listening to your stories just fills my cup up. And I want to thank you all so much for being the absolute best advocates for yourselves. I honestly can't thank you enough. And I hope to see you at the Capitol. Invites extended to all of you. I'll take you to committee. You can come on the floor with me, see how we vote. I think it's so important because we need people with lived experience like you to step into the next roles of leadership. It's incredibly important. So anyway, thank you so much for letting me be here. It's amazing. I look forward to meeting you all afterwards.